Hello everybody, welcome back to Wolfeei, because today we have something interesting and very important to talk about. Something that I thought was mostly no longer an issue, but clearly some people haven't gotten the memo just yet. If you missed it on Twitter, there was a certain person who made a tweet along the lines, and please, I'm probably not saying this correctly, because as you can tell, they deleted the post because clearly they're ashamed of what they said, which is, at least they have some level of learning. They said something along the lines of, like, if you're still watching events in 2025 and think Hannah XX Rose is an S tier, that's crazy. And I was like, bro, really? Thankfully, as a community, we all came together and absolutely clowned on them. I had a pretty, tame response. I just said, nope. No, that's not crazy. Definitely not crazy. A whole bunch of other people said, it's much more significant stuff. Not like bad, Kyle, I think, said like, this is a miss or something. I don't know exactly anymore. And I think Ollie, Heike Hate Me, posted literally Hannah's performance in events and how she's been winning and like how that's a ridiculous thing to claim. And mostly overall as a consensus, a thing that is important to note, and this has been a thing for years, and I'm about to prove to you that this has been a thing for years, is any opinion you share on the internet can be seen by anybody else. It doesn't necessarily mean it will be, and more often than not, it won't, but sometimes it will, and this is an example of when it was shown. Someone who I don't think is necessarily super notable, but to my knowledge from certain repercussions from this, they were involved in communities that are, active and talk often. Sometimes, if you're in that type of bubble, in that type of sphere, your opinions on the internet can be seen by others. And you need to be careful with that, because sometimes it can lead to a situation like this where I assume this person was maybe mostly chilling beforehand, made one bad take, and suddenly everyone dogpiled on them. And now I don't know this person. Obviously, I don't want to just be. I don't like mob mentality and like this isn't cancel stuff, but like how usually cancel culture goes, and it's like mob mentality. People who aren't really related with this topic kind of just take the opportunity to just jump on someone because it's fun to jump on someone. I don't like that, but like in this situation, I could see them probably being quite upset about the results of this, or maybe this is their goal. Maybe they wanted to get attention and then don't want to, own up for it. They just want the attention and then dip, which whatever. But regardless, I said, hey, I have proof of this being a thing in the past. It's right here. All right, 4 years ago. If you don't know, there's a whole stigma about the MCC Reddit. I think nowadays it's mostly been cleared up, but there's clearly some very small percentage, clearly some people still around that kind of have this lack of learning, I guess you could say, regarding how to handle yourself on the internet, especially in a community sphere. Because a long time ago, 4 years ago, as is provable right here, MCC Reddit used to be very active in terms of tier lists and proper skill ratings, and like actively talking about like, this person's bad, this person's good, oh my god, why would you say that? And I'm gonna just use the name, right? I'm just gonna use Scott. Scott, obviously, this is just an example. Why would you put Scott's Major in A tier? He's totally C tier. Like, who cares, right? Whatever. I think nowadays we understand, for the most part, this is not a thing that you should be putting on the internet publicly all the time. But I just wanted to make a video because maybe some more recent, newer people in the audience or something along those lines haven't gotten the memo that this isn't something you should do in the public. Sure, I understand, and I'm sure there is plenty of communities that are a bit more closed off where a discussion like this happens. I know of, I don't remember the name, I think there's a Discord called Islanders. Is that the Discord where it happens? Like, people from MCCI? Something along those lines? I've heard about that before, where some people get cooked a little bit harder. Things are a bit more harsh, a bit more blunt, I guess, in there, which, whatever, right? If it's a closed off community, do whatever you want. but to an extent, I know there's some more notable people in there as well. You should also be careful because some people in there might also talk to other people who you're talking about, so be careful. However, just main thing is that's important is if you have an opinion about a player, about how things work, etc., and you want to share it with people, be aware that there is a very decent chance that the person you're talking about, or the people you're talking about, or the event you're talking about, or whoever represents that, can see it. We've seen this plenty of times on the Wolfeei Bugaville channel, where someone will leave blockwars feedback and be like, rah, 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 this is bad, this sucks, rah, rah, rah. And I'll go on the Reddit and be like, okay, now what? I've seen it, now what? Like, I don't know. It mostly just leads to like, oh, I didn't think you were going to see this. Actually, I love your event. And I'm like, look, I get it, but I don't think this was. I don't think you expected this to happen. So either way, yeah. I mean, just to summarize, I guess the MCC one, because since it's 4 years old, I'll just read it out a little bit. The way the Reddit has changed and became so toxic towards 90% of the players in the event, even if not intentional, put me off of it. I don't think a lot of you realize how the language you use and the tier list you make actually affect the people you are talking about. So many of the players in the event either actively check and read this, or did in the past but got upset by it, using language like carried or saying people only won because X did bad, completely diminishes and takes away from the player's effort and achievements. That's pretty much it, right? Saying like, oh, well, like, I'll use blockers for an example. Well, Joe Bart only got 4 wins because he was teamed with Fire Breathman and Camman and Weinberg. I don't know when he won with who, but whatever, right? You get the point. He only won because he was teamed with S tiers all the time and blah, 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 team balancing, blah, blah, blah. Like, look, Joe Bart's not going to care. He doesn't give a shit, all right? He doesn't care. But there's plenty of people who do, especially in early MCC. This was a case where, because of how fresh and new that creator base in combination at least was, and how explosive the popularity of the event in the community was, and all those factors together, it meant that things felt kind of nice and cohesive, and everyone was talking, and there was nice audience interaction to a decent level at least, and other things. But then when you get into the quote-unquote serious discussion about, well, how good is this player actually? Should they be considered blah, 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 whatever? You realize that, like, we are smaller than, like, sports, all right? If you go on the Twitter and go, Ronaldo's not my GOAT, Messi #1, he's not going to see that. He doesn't care. But if you go, I guess you go, I don't really, Wolfeei, my GOAT, Fire Breathman sucks. He's going to see that and be like, okay. Like, what? Sick, man. Obviously, that's not the same thing. That's way more silly. But you get my point, right? This community is not as big as you might think it is in terms of overall popularity, which means that the people involved, they're not celebrities. They'll see your posts, all right? Sometimes they will. Sometimes they will, all right? And compared to like I mentioned, like football with with Messi or Ronaldo or whatever, right? Very different situation. But I think the way the audience behaved usually, or behaved in the past, and some people behave now, is kind of reminiscent of how like discussions in sports used to go, in the sense of like, you don't understand how close you are to some of these people, or more so how like possible it is for some of these people to see your posts. Because when you talk about sports, they're never seeing it. So when you're talking about this, then you expect them to never see it, but they do. So that's kind of the memo. I hope that kind of catches people up to speed a little bit. I have PB here. Look, man, I pointed out sometimes, but this hasn't been an issue recently. But in the past, like a year and a half ago, maybe something along those lines. There was not the same discussion in regards to what's it called? Well, kind of. There was just like a year or a year and a half ago. There wasn't the same discussion in the sense of like the audience on Reddit talking a certain way, but in PB they did a change like a long time ago with damage points and removing survival points, blah blah whatever. And there was a little bit of an outrage from the players about regarding that. And this actually popped up very recently. some people who are very active in PB just have the mentality of just get better. You're just bad at the game. Just get better. Which is a funny, like, if they're not serious, it'd be funny. But some of them are serious. That's the problem. Some of the people who say this are serious, being like, just get better at the game. Lol, you're bad. Which, bro, what if, really? You're saying, okay, right, sure. Anyways, that's obviously wrong. You just don't do that. You don't do that. All right. Not in the sense of people you don't know. If you're talking about people you know, fine, whatever, right? If you're friends with Chaos and you call them bad, whatever, doesn't matter. But if you don't know Chaos and you're just gonna call them absolutely horrible at the game, bro, really? Same with Booster. Booster made a post about this recently. Hold up, let me pull it up real quick. Okay, I found it right here. For you, this took like 2 seconds. For me, it was a minute. Where Booster said, "I know my whole thing on the internet is that I banter with a lot with everyone, and insults from chatters in the correct context can be funny at times. But to be clear, I do not enjoy it or find it funny to just be randomly insulted or made fun of. I'm still human. Things get to me." Not entirely the same thing, but to an extent, it kind of applies. Where like, a lot of Booster's friends call Booster like bad and a troll and blah 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 whatever, and he understands it's not serious, it's just a joke, right? And then sometimes the audience will be like, oh haha, funny, haha, Booster bad, haha, and that's like fine, whatever, it's not that serious. But when you don't really know Booster or don't really actively talk to Booster and just randomly like go in a stream and go like, oh my god, lol, you're bad, third frag, lol, noob, he'll probably just see that and be like, what? Why? Like, why are you coming into my chat randomly just calling me shit at the game when it's completely not relevant to the content? And oh, this is just all you know about me because you watched the Wolfeei blockwars video where Sleepy and everyone called him bad. Like, whatever, right? I think you get my point. I wanted to get my point across. I wanted to just get my point across, all right? And I think a lot of people already understand and already agree that, like, just manage yourself, okay, on the internet. Manage yourself on the internet. Sometimes people will see what you post, and sometimes it has repercussions, which is here very obvious here. And you know, don't do that. Just don't do that. Really, I don't know. That's it. If you want to have discussions with people in a sense of like being more critical, make sure it's in a community or in an environment where people don't see it, and even then, be careful, because sometimes things leak. It happens all the time, all right? I hope the message has been sent. I hope everyone gets the memo. I'll see you all tomorrow for blockwars teams, okay? Back to fun stuff. Just wanted to post one thing to be a bit more critical. I usually stay away from drama. This is not really drama, but yeah, I think you get the memo. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.